Hello and welcome back to Token Watch. I thought I'd do something interesting as the market's kind of recovering, and show people a little bit of my process I go through when looking for altcoins. I'm in no way a super successful trader, and I'll probably talk a little bit about my win to loss ratio. But I thought it'd be nice, and I don't do too much, TA, if any TA at all. But I thought it'd be interesting just from a kind of casual standpoint, what I look for. I work a full-time job, obviously, and so altcoins were kind of a way for me to supplement my income and try and, make a little bit more gains. On the year, so I've put in about $3,000 to $4,000 into altcoins, and I'm up about 52,000 for the year. I started in around July, or June rather. My first coin was Million Token, which was a token by Tech Lead. And I kind of just put 400 bucks in there. I made about $24,000 in the span of a couple weeks. And then my next big win was Presearch, which netted me about $20,000 on a $2,000 investment. And then since then, I've had a bunch of losses. And a couple kind of semi wins. I've struggled recently so after my Presearch win, I took out about $11,000, and I was playing with about 9,000. With that 9,000, within the next couple days, this was before the recent crash. Around September 12th, September 11th, I was back up to about 18, 19,000. And if I was smart, I should have taken out everything over 10, right? I should have taken out 9 and netted it. But I decided to keep playing. I wanted to get into the big leagues very quick, and get above that, $50,000 mark in my account. Headed towards the 100,000. This dream that we all have. And from that 18,000 that I got back up to off like glitch and loot and those, I rode those for a while. I went all the way back down to $1,000. So I lost close to $18,000 trying to basically chase a couple trades up. And I wanted to share some of the lessons I've had over the past couple months trading these altcoins, and maybe go through a little bit of the process as to how I find them, and then a little bit of the research I do into them, and just looking at the market as a whole. So the first thing I do every morning, regardless, is I open up CoinMarketCap and I open up CoinGecko. The first thing I do is look at CoinMarketCap, and the idea here is just to get a glimpse of the market as a whole, right? So like, what are the big caps doing? What's the market cap? What's the total kind of crypto market looking like? Are we up? Are we down? Because regardless of, actually, to be fair, there's money to be made in both scenarios, right? If the market's heavily down or in a decline, there are still small caps. You have a lot of people who have money in the market and understand that there's fear, and people are worried. And so what happens is trending coins tend to trend faster, right? So for example, if like the other day when the market crashed, you had a lot of coins jump up thousands of percents because people were moving their money out of Bitcoin and moving out their money out of Ethereum and all these kind of larger projects, and trying to recover some of their lost gains by jumping into these smaller tokens and riding these waves. So the nice thing is that in these panicky times, a lot of these smaller tokens, like grab a token right here, this is one that got sent to me, will spike up massively. Because people just need a refuge, they need a place to seek gains, right? So the first thing I do is I go to CoinMarketCap. I just have a look at the market and see what it's doing. The second thing I do is I go to CoinGecko, and then I go into categories, let it load. CoinGecko's a little slower. And the first thing I do is I switch to 24 hours, and I just look within the last 24 hours, what are the ecosystems or the types of coins that are really doing well. So right here, it's the Terra ecosystem, Cosmos, I assume Avalanche, yeah, had their big peak. Polkadot, I know, is on a rise, and apparently is supposed to rise more. DeFi is kind of coming back. DeFi took a massive hit because that's what was hot for the past month and a half after gaming kind of cooled off. Gaming will probably go through another resurgence because these different categories. And to be honest, I don't look at the larger ecosystems like the Terra, Ethereum, Avalanche, I look more at I like trading categories. So like, for example, I like to look at DeFi. I like to look at gaming. I like to look at, security. I like to look at lending. Um, and so, for example, gaming had its really hot, period over the summer. June and July were massive for Axie and Illuvium and, all these massive games and Gala. And then DeFi kind of took over from that. And I feel like within the altcoin space, DeFi and gaming right now, which are the two big ones in my opinion, are like going back and forth. And so you can almost time it, as gaming cooled off, DeFi started to rise, and now gaming will start to see another resurgence. As DeFi kind of cools off, although it looks like DeFi is having a bit of a run. Anyways, I just try and get a good grasp of what's going on here. The next thing actually I do is I track a bunch of different tokens in my portfolio here on CoinGecko. It's a mix of some kind of larger caps that I like, and then I look at, I'll kind of maybe just run through them. So these are the ones that I'm tracking right now. The two big ones are Polkadot and Algorand, which I wouldn't trade, because with the money I have and the gains the percentage gains I need to make, what I should be doing is, for example, when I took my altcoin win and I took out 9K, I should have, found a large cap that I enjoyed, and I should have stuck that 9K into there opposed to taking it cash, right? Because then I have to pay tax on it. But what I should have done is taken my 9K gains, put it into something like Polkadot or Algorand or Avalanche, or one of these large caps that's having its time as these ecosystems start to perform well. These ecosystem coins kind of trade off. Like first it was Solana, then first it was Cardano, then it was Solana, now it's Avalanche, right? Slash Polkadot. Like, so what I should have done is timed one of those ecosystem coins and stuck it in there for smaller gains, but less risk. Anyways, these are the coins that I'm tracking right now. It's a mix of coins that have been on the large mover slot and stuff that I've looked into. Alien Worlds is certainly interesting. IDEX I rode for a while and made some money on. My neighbor Alice had a big announcement last week, and then subsequently crashed, went up to I think about $14. Eternity is something that I'm struggling with. It should be much larger. Like, this is a coin that they've signed Messi, they've signed other massive, I think Damian Lillard or something, or I forget who it is, but they have huge athletes and strong infrastructure. But I think when it comes to the sports NFT space between like Rarible and OpenSea and Top Shot and Eternity and there's a couple others, like right now I struggle to convince myself to put money into any of these, because I think it's like early internet times. I think there's still a large battle that needs to occur before the Facebook of sports NFTs one of them finally prevails and it's worth putting your money into. So I think there's still going to be a lot of volatility in that space, so I stay out of it. But I like to track Eternity because I just think it's so undervalued. Like, to have exclusive rights to Messi's NFTs and be worth 128 million when Rarible and all those other ones are worth so much more, I think is crazy. But for now, I just kind of keep a watch on it. Keeper V1, I know is very popular. It apparently has a ton of upside. It's only valued at 95 million, but they have like all this liquidity locked in. The Keeper network, I don't know too much about it, to be honest. Let's see. But I keep an eye on it because it tends to get hot and it's very popular and people always talk about it. Anyways, Keeper, pre-search, obviously one that I would love to get back into. I think pre-search should be worth above $1, $2, $3 for what it is. It just, pre-search needs that little bite still. Wilder World I track because it's a metaverse play that's still relatively undervalued compared to other metaverse plays. Rarible I started looking at. XCAD, the creator platform. It's essentially attracting all these influencers and helping them, I guess, launch NFTs. I'm not, too sure about, but I look at it. Proppy, we've talked about in the past. I think it's severely undervalued. Had a big run the other day. And then, all of these. So basically, I have this list of about probably, too many at this point, but it's about 100-ish coins, and I keep track on them. I come back to them. They're all undervalued, and basically where I found these is on the large movers page. So what I do is I come to CoinGecko, I come to large movers, and I look here, and Obviously, this is something that a lot of people do. They just say, what's, mooning right now? Okay, this is like Safe Shield. We've done a ton of videos on Safe Shield. Safe Shield's having a nice run right now. The one thing I'll say about Safe Shield is I looked at they have no new announcements. Um, they haven't tweeted recently. The volume is still super low, 178K. I know the product very well. I had money in it. It shot up, about 150%, came back down, went back up. But the volume's still super low. It still hasn't hit, previous all-time highs. It's a very, early coin, less than a month old, or just a month old today, probably. Yeah, 23rd, 24th, or, whatever. Um, and there's competitors out there. There are people who are offering similar products, I've found out. And so this is one that I won't touch just yet. I think it needs, a big adoption play where someone, some other DeFi play or some, big altcoin YouTuber or trader or whatever decides, Safe Shield is my auditing platform of choice where I'll push all my tokens through and, make sure that, the tokens are safe before I trade them. Anyways, I look through this thing. I honestly, I look through all the ones that are Ethereum. I check their percentage increase and I check their volume. So for example, if it's something like this that's 178K and gone up 120%, or 73K and gone up 88%, like this doesn't interest me too much. Also, if it's too high, so for example, like 17 million in volume and up 84%, like to be honest, I think this run is probably done, right? Yeah. It's like a crazy moon where it just went from 354 and jumped up, 200% or whatever within a day, or 100% within a day with massive volume. That means probably a VC got in, or, some big whales got in. And generally it means that the party's, kind of over. There'll be a small trailing, maybe 10% gain you can make to the top. And then generally you'll see a massive sell off, especially with that much volume. So I look for something in this like Goldilocks range between like 200, 300K and $1 million, or like 1.5 million in volume, because there might still be leg room. Like Game Starter, let's have a look at it. Okay, how old is this? Okay, it's about, oh, it's pretty new. Okay, so not too old, about a month or two old. Had decent volume since its inception, 9 million, let's see, even here, like 1,600K. So generally has good volume. Doesn't show a market cap, 6.6 million trading volume. Okay, so yesterday is when it started its run, or like midnight yesterday, early this morning. It went from $1.42 up to $2.32. So it's had a lot of its big gains in the last 30 days. And the question is it cooling off or is it setting up for another run? And are we too late to the party? So we'll go to their Twitter. Okay, they're followed by some other, big people. Like just by virtue of following a lot of people, you'll see when you jump into a new coin, you'll be like, oh shit, they're followed by big people, right? They've got 78K followers. They've been on Twitter since May 2018. Let's see if there's been an announcement. Our bullish roadmap includes the quadruple IGO for our dark token. Launch listing on exchanges. Da 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 da. Okay, XCAD. Congrats to GameStarter for a new all-time high. XCAD community is looking forward to our partnership. Okay, so they're making a lot of good partnerships around the Daily Gainer. They're very active on Twitter, which is nice. This is something that concerns me. Protocols and companies and everything that talk about their own charts worry me. So for example, when I go to a really good project and they're like, pumping to the moon, like, here we go type of thing, like that really worries me, because I want the token or the product or the business in this sense to be more focused on the partnerships they're making, the underlying technology, the quality of the product, that to be exciting to them. Like, hey guys, for example, when you're on pre-search, you look at their page and it's like, they're rarely talking about like moon, bullish, like whatever. They're talking about, we're so excited about this new announcement with Android. We're now on all Android phones. Like, this is just something that worries me. It's like, game climbing to new all-time highs, fire emoji, moon, rocket emoji. We're here to deliver quality on levels, hashtag bullish. Like, I don't like when you're the one hyping your chart or your token price. Like, to me, that's not exciting. So, but regardless, it seems like a great product. So what I'll do is I'll then go onto the website. I'll have a look. Obviously, it's a professionally done thing. They have massive partnerships for a reason. They're working with DinoX, which I've gotten into before. It's a game platform for like dinosaur trading or battles or fighting or whatever. Um, so it's like a crowdfunding platform for gaming projects and maybe other projects as well. So that's not a new concept. What's the other one? We actually have it on our portfolio. GGDAP does a little bit of that. They don't do crowdfunding, but they allow people to build on top of it. Gpool, which is part of the Glitch ecosystem. So if you go to Gpool, here it is, Genesis Pool, which was supposed to moon again, but they're a similar product. So they're a launch pad for different products and everything, and they're followed and they're part of the Glitch ecosystem, which is very hot, very popular. Worth a lot of money, and so I'm probably going to stay away from this. The other thing I would do is I'd join the Discord. I'd also join the Telegram. I'd maybe ask some questions like what's going on, any big news, like get people's sentiment. The only thing I'll say is beware of Telegram, because anytime you go into somewhere and ask what's happening, they're all just going to tell you they're going to the moon tomorrow. And they'll list a bunch of reasons which are kind of BS. But anyways, this is kind of my first glance at this. So I'll look at it, I'll check it out. To be honest, after 24 hours, I think most of these hypes are dead. Okay, so here's the thing. If it's something that's going to sustain growth and something that, like for example, like if a DeFi coin out of nowhere announces that it's sorry, it's partnering with Amazon, right? That type of partnership warrants massive investment. And that investment in the altcoin space happens in 24 hours. Honestly, less. Happens in like 12 hours. And what happens is either someone knows about it beforehand and you start to see massive investment come in. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of ETH, millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. And within a 12-hour period, the window is lost, because what happens is all that big money comes in. You can see it. You'll have these huge buys on Etherscan in the first 2 hours of the announcement / right before the announcement, because a lot of the smart money hears about it beforehand, just from some fucking how. Then what happens is you see the 100 ETH, 80 ETH buys turn into 50 ETH, 20 ETH, within the next 3 hours or 2 hours. After that, there's like that 5 to 6 hour window where all the big money bought in, right? It's always like right here. Then you see from this point onwards, so you can see like this is at 10. This is a 2 hour period. Okay, so within this 2 hour period, all the money in. Then what you see is you see this top get finished off by like small ETH buys, like 1 ETH, 2 ETH, 5 ETH, the whole thing. And then you see these initial whales start selling off huge chunks, 20 ETH, 50 ETH, 100 ETH, and it always causes this drop. And then because all these people started hearing about it and seeing it on the large coin thing, you build this weird downwards flat kind of level where people are still trying to jump on the train, assuming it's going to moon, and they're buying into all the selling from these whales here that are selling off chunks, right? They just sell off these big chunks because they don't, and it ends up being this terrible feeling. So I think, in my opinion, and again, this is not financial advice. This is just how I trade. I look at this and I think this is over, especially if you go to the Etherscan and you can see there's a ton of volume, but it started to settle off. So like, look, 15K, 14K, 15K, 24K. But you're also starting to meet some decent sells, right? And you'll see, look, it starts to wean off, right? So, 21K, 3K, 1K, 3K, $98, 360, like and also the volumes teetered off in terms of like the velocity of trades. Like people are slowing down how often they're buying. So this to me is dead, because what's happening, the reason the last trade was 25 minutes ago, is all the buys that just happened are now like, shit, the party's over. So any further buys are probably going to get met by some big sells. They're just waiting to see if they can get one last uptick, one last hurrah, and then it'll most likely die off, in my opinion. So I wouldn't go into this coin. So that's the 24-hour large movers things. You have to look for things that are potentially still going, an announcement that's big enough to hold up, something that just started within the last hour or two. And the way you can do that is go to the 1 hour chart. So what I do is I set it to 1 hour, I look at top gainers, and I look for stuff, and this is where you got to play in the margin. So you can't get into something that's already in the $2 million worth of volume space, because the party is most likely over. Big money's already into it, and they understand that people are jumping on these trains and they're going to start selling into it. So what you do is, like I said, there's this Goldilocks zone between $1 million and like 200K. So I'd look for something like this, Gondola Finance, max. Okay, this is oh, here's another thing. If you zoom out to the max and like they're still just in this massive flat thing, it's very speculative. But if there's a nice trend coming up and volume is increasing, what you can do, and they're also an Avalanche coin, so Avalanche is on the rise. You go here, you see if there's any announcements, right? Like if there's something that happened like 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, within the hour, and it's this huge announcement that warrants an investment, it may be worth putting some money into, right? Check out the volume, check out the last 14 days. The trend looks pretty nice. Go into the Telegram, see how people are talking about, try and get an unbiased opinion of this. But this looks like something nice that within the last 24 hours, like this only happened within the last 2 hours that there's thing. But I'd still be wary because the volume is very low, right? So like, again, I haven't worked with Avalanche yet, but if you go into the Ether scan for a coin like this and you see that buys are still happening, on a minute-to-minute basis, you can probably get into it and ride a little bit of the pump. FXT token, mini Floki. I just stay away from these fucking Floki coins and all these Shiba Inu coins. Let's check out FIBA token. Okay, it's a Binance coin, so I wouldn't trade that. Super volatile coin anyways. Nothing looks too exciting. Go to the Twitter though, just to check, see if anything big happened. This is how I found Presearch. It was like massive announcement coming tomorrow that will change everything, and it was a docs team that they wouldn't just say that shit. So I put money in, and it ended up being that they were on the Android choice screen. But so they have a billboard that's coming up. Or they have a billboard that's running, I guess. So the billboard ran from 24th September. Oh no, it's coming up. Wait. 24th September. Okay, so tomorrow. So they have this billboard. So this could be something that's legit. I'd maybe look into this. I'd look at the website. I'd join the Telegram. I'd talk to the people. But the volume's rising. The market cap's still super small. If this billboard actually starts to move numbers and people start dumping this is something I'd watch. So what I do is I'll favorite it, and I'll set up a price alert normally for 5%. So if it makes a 5% move, I'll get a notification on because 5% is still enough that if I start to see, if it blows past the 5% and there's like a 50 ETH buy, I'll immediately put my money in, because following a 50 ETH buy, there will be 1, 2, 10, enough movement to make me really good money. And if it moons, even better. But if I can make 30%, 40% on top of my stuff and get out, I'm happy. So that's one that I'd look at. I don't want to go too long with this video, but basically this is kind of my process. I just scan this, I join the Discords, I join the Twitters, I ask some questions, I try and get their explanations as to why things are moving, what's coming up, see how responsive the developers are, how responsive the team is, how legit the website is, any partnerships. I try and look up competitors, and then I go in. To be honest, and this is something that they say not to do, with my money that I'm trading, which is under $10,000. If I see a good project and I think it's gonna moon type of thing, I go all in. I know I leave enough dry powder to trade in and out, and if I need to do a fast transaction on Uniswap, I leave like $400 in there, because if gas is crazy high and I really need to get out right now, I'm willing to pay $300 for a swap if I just made $6 grand. So but that's how I play. It's super high risk. I'm not recommending it. This is not financial advice, but it's led to my successes in the past. Until I get to a certain point. I was watching an interview with I forget his name, but it was on Harush AK's video. He did an interview with him. He said, I had 10K to trade with. I looked for 100 or 500x opportunities. From there, once I made my 500x, I deleveraged and I started looking for 20x opportunities. And then from there, I moved down to 10. So the goal for me really is get back up to that 20, 50K mark. And basically
once I hit that amount, instead of looking for the 100 or 500 X's, looking for the 20 X's, and from there looking for the 10 X's, the 5 X's, and hopefully by then we have millions of dollars to play with, and we're just looking to make 10% a year or whatever it is, to keep us happy, fat and happy. But anyways, I hope this helped. I know it was kind of all over the place, but that's how I trade as well. I'm very active on this. I'm always looking for new coins that are coming up. I think opportunity strikes within a very quick window, so you have to be able to jump on it. But hopefully this helped. The other tool I think I'll mention that is doing a 7-day trial, mine might be up, honestly. Yeah, so my trial ended, unfortunately. But check out Nansen.ai. It lets you look at smart money and see and check the coins and the NFTs that they're investing in. They have a bunch of YouTube videos to get acquainted. If I ever buy it, I'll do a full breakdown on it. But for now, just wanted to put this out there for anyone who's interested in trading altcoins on the side. So yeah, thank you for watching.